And welcome back. You know, we were just talking about this portrait of Jesus before the break. It's called Prince of Peace and featured in the book Heaven is for Real. You may be surprised to learn the age of the artist and her heavenly inspiration. For art prodigy Akiane Kramarik, heaven has always been in the details. Her paintings, complex, vibrant, and inspired by an astonishing spiritual connection. At just 4 years old, Akiane began to have visions of being in heaven and meeting God. She began translating those visions onto paper. Most extraordinary, the concept of God hadn't even been introduced to Akiane as a child. Her parents were self-described atheists. At 6, she turned to painting, bringing her heavenly visions to life through her art.
I get up at 4:30 every morning and I do art at 5. Then I do probably 2 to 3 hours.
Homeschooled and self-taught, she continues to paint 6 days a week, and today has produced more than 200 paintings, all influenced by the same faith and heavenly inspiration that she has carried from childhood.
When I paint, for example, the planted eyes, and some people say it's not religious, but I know inside it is. Everything I do that has a meaning of spirituality.
Now, Akiane was just 10 years old in that video. She's now 18, and some of her paintings are worth more than $1 million. Akiane, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. It's an honor.
So you were just 4 years old when you believe you started hearing voices from heaven.
Yes, and I just came in through a family that was not religious at all. But when I started receiving these visions at 4, it was just way too complex to describe them through words, and the only thing I could use was colors.
You started painting and
absolutely.
drawing.
Yep.
And this is the Prince of Peace, which I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
And you were only, I cannot believe this, 8 years old when you painted this?
I was, but the image came to me ever since I was 3.5, 4 years old. But it was like a blurry, image. But it was only when I was 8 years old when this carpenter came knocking on our door when I said, this is the perfect time to paint the story of love, unity, and peace.
A carpenter, of course.
Go figure.
That when I heard that, I was like, wow, okay,
and
that makes sense.
And actually, some researchers actually analyzed my work, and they compared the Shroud of Turin with my work, this particular painting, and they said it was almost 80 to 90% accuracy.
Tell me about
Happy
this.
Father's Day weekend. It's so good to be here with all of you. And can we give a warm welcome to Todd and Colton Burpos who are here joining us. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you've seen the movie or read the book, you know that after this whole experience, every time Todd and Colton would maybe be at a different church for a funeral or at a hospital or somewhere where there was a picture of Jesus, Todd would say, what about this one? And Colton was like, no. And this was kind of an ongoing experience until they stumbled upon this particular picture. I'm going to put it up on the screen. So they stumbled upon this picture, and for the first time you didn't get the normal response. Could you tell us what happened at this moment, and then assume we know nothing, and tell us the background of this painting and how it came about?
Well, Akiane Kramarik, one of the things in the movie, she's a Lithuanian American. Her parents were atheists. She'd never been to church a day in her life. And her experience is very, very different from Colton's. Jesus started visiting her in visions and dreams, okay? So she never had a near-death experience. She never almost died. And she's just proof that God has all kinds of ways to reach people, amen? And here's Jesus. I still believe you need to know Jesus, but Jesus is fortunately not limited to our resources and just our methods to reach people. And here he is talking to this little girl who's obviously an incredible artist, and at age 8 paints that painting. And we ventured out to one church, our first church we ever spoke to in Colorado Springs. And one of the persons there that year saw the documentary about Akiane Kramarik on CNN and said, boy, she sounds just like Colton. Her descriptions of heaven, all the colors and everything, and was mesmerized. So she contacted us and said, you need to see this. So I had Colton look at this painting. And I said, okay, Colton, what's wrong with this painting? And he just froze. Colton, what's wrong with this painting? And he's just locked. And Colton is a very, very black and white person. You know, he doesn't say he gets up at 7:30. I got up at 7:27. He's still that way, okay? If you want to have just discriminating, okay, he says, Dad, that's right. It is the only painting ever. And when I put that in the book, I anticipated all kinds of people to contact me and say, well, I saw Jesus, I went to heaven, and he didn't look like that. I've had 0 people do that, 13 million copies later? I've had thousands of people say that's exactly what he looks like.